To legally operate the S corporation, there are a number of issues you want to keep in mind, just as with a C corporation. The first thing to keep in mind with an S corp is because you are filing an S election, you have to refrain in being involved in any activities that may alter that S election. For example, by adding more than one class of stock, or by accepting a shareholder who isn't a U.S. citizen or a resident alien. Then you want to make sure that the company doesn't mix up the property, assets, or the transactions of the company with those of the individual shareholders. So, for example, make sure that you establish a separate bank account for that S corporation, and you don't mix up that bank account with the personal bank account of the individual shareholders. If an individual shareholder wants to give its own, for example, computer equipment to the company, make sure that that computer equipment is assigned with a bill of sale to the company. With respect to transactions, it's important to make sure that any individuals are signing on behalf of the company and not signing individually. And of course, they have to be authorized by the company to sign on the company's behalf. For example, if you are entering into a lease transaction and you are the CEO of the company, be sure to clearly indicate that you're signing as the CEO. Don't just sign your name individually without any title associated with it. If any individuals are going to be loaning money to the company, be sure to document those transactions between those individuals in the company. The company's bylaws are there for a reason. You may be tempted to put them aside and forget that they exist, but make sure that you understand the terms of the bylaws and complying with all of the formalities that are required in those bylaws. Another important consideration to legally operate the S Corp is to remember that the board has certain fiduciary duties. So you have to, as a board member, act in the company's best interest. You want to also avoid conflicts of interest with the company, or make sure that you're being very transparent about those things. Also, make sure that you remember the shareholders have to vote on certain issues and the board has to vote on certain issues. Those issues will be documented in the bylaws. Make sure you understand what those are. You want to make sure you keep these factors in mind as you're operating the corporation so that you maintain limited liability and make sure that the company is liable for the debts and obligations of it as opposed to you as an individual shareholder.